Welcome to another episode of Anugo of New Home Sales. I'm your host today, Sarah Williams, Sales Director at Anugo. I'm so excited to introduce you all to someone that I've been a fangirl of for so long in our industry, Mary Marshall Forrest. If you don't know Mary, let me tell you more about her. Mary is the President and Chief Learning Officer of FPG. She is the creator of Warrior Selling and Leadership Sales Coaching, which are ranked #1 and #2 out of the world's top sales development programs by global gurus. Mary Marshall is a Master Practitioner in Neuro-Linguistic Programming, the science of influence and behavioral change. She's a practitioner in accelerated evolution, the psychology of removing fear in high performers. She's also a practitioner in Theta Healing, the psychology of removing energetic blocks that create physical and emotional limitations. Mary's on a mission to teach the mindset, process, and language of sales leadership. Welcome to our show, Mary. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you. And I fangirl over you, so that just made me flutter a little bit. So
well, I'm appreciative because I know you're a super busy person and you are taking time out. And I talked your ear off even before we hit record. So we could talk for days. So I'm just super excited that you decided to join us today. So where do we begin? I mean, I've known you, I feel like it's been like 8-ish years when you started at FPG during my lasso days before I came to Anugo, and you were a sales trainer. And I just have loved watching you grow in your role and at FPG and expand over the years. I mean, that's why I just get so excited watching someone, that I feel like I watch you from we talked earlier, from the beginning and just the transformation and, just how you've grown within the organization and how I like to think you've changed the organization. Jason for the better, if Jason's listening. No, not that it was bad.
Well, now I'll make sure that I'm sending it that he will listen. We'll just rewind and play that over and over again.
Oh, because now you're the President and Chief Learning Officer. So that's just so exciting. And I think for our listeners, they just need to understand that FPG, we're talking typically to a home building audience or those that are in that, in our industry. But you and Jason and the whole FPG crew, you do not just serve home building. You serve other industries. You serve leaders and salespeople across the country in all different industries. And I specifically, I used to sell homes, but I've been selling technology for, going on nine-ish years. And I watch all of your videos. For me, there's so many free resources that Mary and FPG put out on LinkedIn. And I watch it because I relate and take it all in because it's applicable to our home builders, but it's also applicable to all salespeople. So I just wanted to let our listeners know that you've been crushing it, not just in our industry, but in all industries, and you're rated #1 and #2. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you. And what's interesting is obviously people know that Jason, came in through home building and was in, sales and sales leadership and training in home building. And that in all of our programs, we still have a home building specific track, but it's been really interesting, especially in the last couple of years, what we've been able to bring to home building sales professionals and sales leaders from other industries, because there are things within, the B2B world that are tough, even in the B2C world. So for instance, one of our clients right now is the United States Army, which is crazy that we are training the Army on how to recruit more soldiers. And when we sit with the Army and we ask the recruiters, okay, tell me the objections that you hear from people not wanting to enlist. And the #1 objection is, I don't want to die. Okay. So when you work through the emotional and the process, the language, the mindset, how to empathize with somebody and connect with them, but then also give them a different outcome frame and show them possibilities. And you're doing this when you're talking about death. You know what? Interest rates, easy. And then we were working, and this is actually a company that my brother had worked with. My brother worked in I banking, not I like investment. I like as an eyeball. Ugh, I know. I'm just going to touch there for a second. This is, when somebody passes away, you have to, a donor center, there's a call center that calls and has to ask a lot of really uncomfortable questions, even if the person is required to be a donor. It's signed off that they're a donor. And you have to ask next of kin horrific questions within 3 hours of their loved one passing away. It is a terrible system. It's, federal laws around it that require it. But when I speak to that call center team on how do you call somebody at 3 a.m., 3 hours after a loved one has passed away, and ask questions about their lifestyle that are intrusive, not can be intrusive, that are very intrusive. And you can handle the mindset, the language, and how do you have reverence and integrity and love and connection around such a horrible time for somebody? Okay, when I can take all of that process and now take it back to an OSC team or a sales team that's doing follow-up calls, it's easy, right? It's all in perspective of what we're doing. And so I'm really proud of the enhancements we've been able to give our new home sales community, which is the community that we feel the most connected, that we belong with, to bring to them from what we've learned in these other industries. It's been really powerful.
I mean, you gave me the goosebumps because I can't even imagine, like just I guess it would be called pressure that you're under, that creating that. I mean, I don't know if you'd call it a script, but like you said, the reverence for someone and training that team on how to navigate a call like that. Goodness me, like that is, I mean, we talk about sales training and model home demonstrations, and like you said, an OSC call. I mean, and we sometimes feel like building a house or buying homes is life or death because that's shelter, right? But you're really talking about death. Like you're talking in two different aspects you just shared, the Army and organ donation.
Yeah.
Yeah, goodness. Well, I mean, okay. Well, let's flip the page. I want to get back to how did you end up at FPG and on stage and as a trainer? Like, how did you decide on training? And I know, I know, but I would like our listeners to know a little bit more about you, Mary.
Yeah, so it's always a story, right? It was not a path that I thought. Now, looking back, right? Whenever you look back on your life, like, oh, this kind of makes sense. It goes in alignment. I started my career in a call center and doing fundraising. And so, that here's your list of 100 phone numbers and you're going to cold call and you're going to see if you can get donations. And so it's interesting is from there where, that's tough. I mean, fundraising is asking people for money and not giving them anything in return, except for like a sticker for their car, or in my case, if they gave at a certain level, I could send them like a vanity, basically a vanity like library card, because it was like to a library that is.
I thought you were going to say like a license plate or something.
Yeah.
Top donor. Yeah.
I'm gonna give you like a donor sticker. Like you're not giving you anything. And so, you get gritty and you learn how to have fun with it, or you don't, right? You either like quit the job immediately, it was a huge turnover, or you find the fun in it. And I think right now, that's the biggest thing for sales professionals of all kinds is, are you enjoying the connection with people? Is your first outcome frame when you call somebody that you just met or you don't know yet, or that hasn't talked to you in 3 or 4 months and you're trying to call them back, is your first outcome frame, how can this just be like a wonderful conversation that both of our days are better because of it? Because when we do that, like everything else falls into place. Like then they're enjoying it. They stay on with you longer. The longer they're on you, the more that they tell you about what's going on. The more that you know that's going on, the more the better solutions you can provide for them. The better solutions, the more that they're interested in and moving forward with you. And so that first outcome frame of just enjoying it. And that's what I learned from fundraising, because there's so many times that for me at the beginning, it was the thought process of like, please just don't yell at me. Please don't let anybody cuss at me today. Like, Also, please, like, don't let anybody answer their phone. Like I had that going through my head. And then from there, when I got my first sales job, I remember I was in orientation. There were 3 of us that were brand new. And, our sales manager was very apologetic about, hey guys, I need to let you know, you're probably only going to get like 5 leads a piece per week. And I was like, wait a second, what's a lead? And they were like, well, that's when somebody calls us and they're interested. And I was like, you're going to give me 5 of those a week? I've never had anybody that wanted to talk to me. And so it was interesting, right? The mindset shift of the people that I started with, they came from sales. They're like, 5, oh, that's horrible. And I'm like, no one's ever wanted to talk to me. This is like the best news I've ever had. And so from there, I was able to, go into sales and continue. And then when Jason and I started working together, selling FPG services, and first it was tickets when we did, big public events, and, doing years ago when we used to do that was the tickets I was selling, and then selling contracts from it, training contracts. And I enjoyed, I love selling, and I loved the sales process. I loved getting to know builders and what their goals were. I loved when people would call me back later and say, oh my gosh, Mary, you were right. You didn't oversell this. Because I always call and go, did I over promise? Like, did I tell, are we living up to everything I said? And when they're like, yes, it was amazing. And so I was tricked, honestly, into becoming a trainer. I remember Jason saying, I think this is the path for you, and I'd like for you to be a trainer. And I said, absolutely not. I have no business doing this. I don't feel qualified. And he said, okay. And then the next thing I know, he lets me know, like, hey, just forgot to let you know. He didn't forget. Forgot to let you know, I have things going on this afternoon. I've got 3 training calls on my calendar, and you're taking them over. What? So, thrown in that way. And then we're doing a presentation, and this about me, but I'm a back of the room sound, I've had the headphones on, I'm running screens and running AV, and that's my place. I see myself more as a producer and of events, and producer of on-stage events. And so I'm always in the back. And I remember the day that somebody in the audience asked a question, and he said, I could answer that from you, but instead, I'm going to ask, Mary Marshall in the back. Mary, will you come up here and answer that question? And he said it. I mean, there were 500 people in this room. And I smiled, but my eyes said, like, I'm going to kill you. I can't believe you're making me do this, as I take my giant headset off and, walk to the front and get on stage and start sharing with people and answering questions, basically, because at that point I couldn't say no. Too many people were watching me. And from there, it just, it evolved. It just kind of kept going. So I'm glad that all the times that I've said, no, I'm not doing that, he has not listened to me. So I said, no, I won't be. I just love sales. I'm just going to do this. Like, don't put me in leadership. And he said, okay. And the next thing I know, I put into leadership, and then, it kept going from there. But I do, and I'm not the only one who has this story with Jason. Almost everybody who comes into his, universe and circle, he just sees things and gifts that you have that you don't necessarily know that you have. And so my story is basically the same as everybody that works with him, that he says, here's what I see in you, and here's what you can be. And if you say no, he just kind of puts you in a situation to prove to you that you can do what he already knows you can do. So that's my story. That's how I ended up at this moment right here with you, Sarah.
You know what? I love it because, you develop people. That's what your job is for a living. And Jason's obviously, but he's developed, you came into his world and you had certain skill sets, but he's like, I'm going to develop this. I'm going to help coach and help, and not just you, like your whole team. So your whole team are byproducts of your actual program. It sounds like, right?
Exactly. Yes, you're exactly right. Exactly. And that's what the training team, myself included, when we're working with somebody, having seen the change in ourselves, because for us, nobody has a education background or a training background or research background. Everyone was in sales and was developed into learning how to be a teacher and a presenter and instructor. And so, yeah, you're right. We all have that, which allows us to speak very freely with people and use that as the momentum of being able to constantly know, if we've done what we've done, everybody else can do it too.
Sounds like you've done the work, right? And based on what I now know more about you from you're a student, and it sounds like, which I can appreciate too, which I feel like I am. I never stop learning. I feel like the minute you stop, you kind of are dying on the vine, so to speak. And from what I've learned more and more about you and Jason, that your students, so your coaches, your mentors, your trainers, but you're also students, and you're constantly looking for more, like, give me more, I want to learn more, which I love, because when you're in that environment, so anyone that's probably in your orbit, if that's contagious, that's really that whole feeling, that hunger. Like, I feel like you can't, when you're around people like that, you're like, I want to do that. That's, you just grow, everyone's growing together. And then of course, whatever you learn, you're giving back to all of your students, your clients. So I love that. So let's talk about the new home industry. You do a ton with mindset and rewiring old thought patterns. I do a ton of reading on all of that too. So the past 2 years, you've had your work cut out for you. The past 2 years, right? With the mindset and that rewiring. So talk to me about that, and how's that been going, and what are you seeing with your clients?
Yes, Sarah. Yes. Start there. So, what's interesting is right now our processes need to be overhauled. And in almost, if you, and Sarah, thank you for watching a lot of the things that we do online and the resources that we have. One of the things that I say all the time that I am, as of today, not ever saying, or not ever saying it, I'm not saying it now in this current market, is I always say, hey, we don't need to overhaul processes. We need to tweak something. Let's do like a 2 millimeter like shift to get this back on track. And let's do and we just need to polish it up, or we just need to clean it, and you'll be good to go. I'm not saying that right now, because the truth is, for most of us, I'm sure there are people that are outside of this. Nobody that I know that is outside of this though, but I'm sure there are. So I'll say that there's like a possibility this doesn't apply to everybody, but no one that I've met, it needs to be an overhaul. The things, 98% of what you were doing in the last 2 years, you need to stop doing and do something different today. And it's not that what we were doing the last 2 years was wrong. In fact, I think it was beautiful. We were meeting our clients where they were. We spent a lot of time on time management, tough conversations. If you had an escalation clause in your contract, and you had to call people and say, hey, the price of your home has just gone up. In order to stay under contract, it's $8,000 more, or whatever that was. All of those things that you were asked to do. Hey, I need to call and have tough conversations on delays. I need to have tough conversations on, yes, your home is complete, but we don't have windows, so that one little piece, right? All of those things, I think people were doing what was asked, what was needed of them. And there was a transition there to learn that skill set, to have that mindset, and to go forward with it. That's not our world right now. For all humans, making a change is difficult. So the thing that people have to do first right now, mindset wise, in this is I need to really look at where my time is going. I need to really look at my activities. What am I doing every day? And if it is the same thing that you were doing before, it needs to change. Right now is about, things I'm sure that you're hearing too, traffic is down. The objections people are asking are different, right? It's all interest rates. Is this a good time to buy? The media is not our friend right now. And so the good news about all of it is that as an industry, we've done this before. We've done this many times. Many people, all of us, everybody that you work with, not everybody you work with, everyone has somebody at their company that has been through this before. And so it's right now, it's going, wait a second. The beautiful thing is that we have a process. There are sales professionals that crushed it in 2008. There are companies that crushed it in 2008. So it's not that. Now, are there companies that didn't make it? Yes. And there are sales professionals that didn't make it? Yes. But now let's model what the people did that were successful, because there's a path, and we've done it before. And the thing too is, we know we know what people are going to say. We know the objections that are coming in. Let's talk about economy. Let's talk about timing. We want to talk about, well, I really want to buy it. And maybe even the interest rates aren't an issue for me because I'm a cash buyer, but how much am I going to get for my current home? I don't feel comfortable listing my house. We know what they're going to say. So the great thing about that is now because like, how do you answer it? And so that's what we're doing with our teams right now. Especially over the summer, we wrote a program called the 6 strategies to sell through a down economy. And it just goes through every one of those. And with the team, we now, for all of those objections, for what's coming up right now, how do we customize a response that's based on your communities, the city that you're in, the homes that you're building, the demographic that you sell to? How do we customize a message to respond and give certainty to each one of those? And it needs to be custom, because different parts of the country, we're feeling different things, different, demographics of buyers. They have some different needs and different requests. And so now we work together, we customize that. And now as a sales professional, you can feel certain. Now, what's funny to me, as I've gone through this process with so many builders, is the sales professionals who at the end, they go, okay, now I can't wait for someone to come in and bring up interest rates. Like, let them do it. Like, I'm ready. Like, I know what to say. The reason we get nervous about it is we don't know how to respond. But as soon as we have like this beautiful message, right, that sounds like us, that comes from our heart, right, I think whenever we're uncomfortable, we need our mindset. Like, do we believe this? And then do we feel it? So our mind and our heart, are they in alignment? And when we can get our words to being in perfect alignment with our brain and our heart, we can't wait to share that with people. And then they can feel it too, because I'm not going through a script saying things that I've been told to do and memorize, but I don't believe. So it's always like, how does it feel to me yet? So doing all of those check-ins, and it's okay when you're given a response or you're thinking through it and you go, oh, it doesn't feel right yet. Perfect. Thank you for having an intuition and listening to it. Let's fine tune it. Let's look, is it our mindset is off or our words off? And we can put that together until now we have a response for people. And I think that's the biggest message for home builders right now is there's an answer. There's a message, and you can feel excited about giving it.
It doesn't have to be scary. Like, I feel like our energy, is felt when they walk in the room, right? You give off, like, you don't even have to say anything. If you're a salesperson or even a leader, I mean, we could talk about leaders. If you're a leader walking to a sales meeting and you're just like, like, like your sales team feels that, right? And everybody feels your energy. So if someone were to walk into your sales center, or I'm a huge believer, because I too, Mary Marshall, did my time in call centers, but I did market research, not fundraising, that people can hear it in your voice. People can feel your energy through when you're speaking. So all of that, whether you're an OSC and you're answering the phone, or whether, people can feel that. So if you're not ready, as you said, the mind and heart check-in, I love that. People like feel it before you even, if they're in person, before you even speak it, but they can hear it in your tone.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
And
hear the tone of your voice if they're on the phone even. Yeah.
And even the transparent, and I'm a big believer in being as transparent as possible at all times. One of the reasons that I love being around you, because I feel like you are very much in alignment. And I've heard you say very bold things to people, including myself, which I love, that are just your truth and your heart. And I think just I don't know if it's on a side note or a side street around this, when I'm talking to somebody on the phone and I hear in their voice like an irritation, right? Or let's say I'm cold calling and they don't seem excited to talk to me. Guess what I say? Hey, sounds like you're not excited to talk to me. Hey, I don't know. I'm not a psychic. I'm not a mind reader, but it feels to me like right now I'm not what you want to be, who you want to be talking to. Am I picking that up correctly? Right? I just say it. And I think that gives people a lot of power too, because then they get to either become aware of, oh my gosh, no, I didn't mean that. This other thing is going on. No, I'm interested in what you're saying. Or they say, yeah, I'm not interested in this at all, and I don't want to talk to you. Or they get to a third option of, no, I'm interested, but right now I'm busy and this isn't a good time. Can we talk later? Awesome. Okay. But when I start saying and I start pushing things, not saying that's now in alignment with my heart, right? My mind is doing two things. Like, I don't think they want to talk to me, but I'm supposed to say this next. What do I do? And we just say it. We're just upfront and transparent. These like beautiful things happen. And these real conversations happen, which can happen in person too. With somebody, I'm not sure if I'm picking up on this correctly, but it appears to me that you guys want to have a private conversation right now. I don't know, just say it. And then it also, it teaches other people how to speak to you. So now they go, oh, okay, well, this is a person we have transparent, candid conversations with. So I'll just say it. So I won't wait to get to the car to say what my objections are. I'll just say it to you because that's what we're doing right now. We're just sharing what comes into our head. And now we've trained them to speak to us the way we want to be spoken to.
This is all part of warrior selling. I watched them, like, this is what I totally like align with you on. That's all of it, because I mean, I do this with my home builders. I've been doing it. So like Jason, and you were on like LinkedIn. I think it was LinkedIn. One of the times I was watching it, and I'm like, I feel like I'm a warrior. I'm one of the warriors. So I'm like, I do, because that's all part of, that's one of your, I don't know which step or where in the process it is, right? But the transparency and just being on, allowing people to talk to you, right? Just and see you and feel you, and that's where trust starts.
Yes.
The trust that they don't know if they can trust you, but as soon as you, I believe, as soon as you kind of like clear the air, like as you just said, they're like, oh, cool. Like we can, right? Like that's exactly what you just said. Like, yeah, we can keep this real. Like, and as a salesperson, in my mind, if I say something that they're like, well, like you just said, I can be bold, people are like, did she just really like tell it? The transparency as a salesperson, I think if I'm like, hey, outside of just telling like just being upfront, I think if you're transparent, like, oh, we don't have that, we can do this, whatever it is. Like if you're trying to hide something, people smell that on you, like it genuinely. Or if you're not really coming forward with and being honest and open, I think the easier that you make it, then they just give it right back. You have a free ebook, right? Which again, on LinkedIn, I'm always on LinkedIn, if you could tell, but on LinkedIn, you can download it there. So tell everybody more.
Warrior selling is a 12-step process that goes from when you first meet somebody to closing. And as far as we can tell, it is the only program and the only book that gives somebody the entire process, like from beginning to end. So we've searched. If there's another one, somebody let me know, because we have not been able to find it. And the reason we use the word warrior is because we believe that there are three archetypes, like I'm going to use the archetype, 3 archetypes that make up a warrior. And that's being a leader, being a protector, and being a servant. And when we're balanced in those 3 energies and those 3 archetypes, then we have this power and this direction of a warrior. So a leader of, I'm going to lead somebody to the life improvement that they want, that they don't know how to get on their own. Or maybe they're nervous to get there on their own. So I'm going to lead them to do the things that they don't want to do so they can live the life they want to live. Like nobody wants to call a loan officer, right? So I'm going to lead them to do the thing they don't want to do and talk about their finances and talk about it and talk to a loan officer in order to be able to have the home and the life they want to live. I'm going to be a protector. So who are we protecting them from? So we're protecting them from maybe purchasing a home that's not going to fulfill their needs. So like getting a deal somewhere else, but it's not really what they want. We're going to protect them from the news telling them not to purchase a home. I'm going to protect them from their own mindset. I mean, sometimes I need protecting from my own mindset. My mindset is not awesome all the time. I do my best, but it gets astray, and I need somebody to come in and be like, did your brain really just say that? That's terrible. Like, no, that's wrong. So we got to protect them. So we need to have that protector energy. And the last is the servant, is can I help serve their highest need? How can I give them the highest level of service? And in being able to serve someone, I must know what their outcome frame is. And when I can do that, when I know why they need a new home, what that home is going to change in their life for them, the life that it's going to then lead them to live. Okay, well, now I can serve that in everything that I do. Now I can be bold and transparent because I'm not doing it to push them to do something. I'm doing it to help lead them to and serve them to what they've said they've wanted and to their next like version of themselves. So that's the warrior selling. So with those three energies together and those three different paths that we can take, it's now the process, the 12 steps balance the three of them. There are some times that we're in a servant space that's just, hey, I just need to hear from you. I'm just going to ask you questions. I need to listen so I can understand what you're looking for and if I even have a solution, right? So let's also understand that we are not the right builder for all people, and that is okay. But when I have a servant's heart, I'm going to lead you to the right builder, even if it's not me. Same if somebody calls me and I recognize like, ooh, this is not the right client for FPG, I will send you to who's right for you. Because that's the servant side. That's part of being a warrior. And so there are parts where there are parts in the process that are very lead. Like it is time to lead them to the next step. It is time to lead them to make a decision. We cannot leave people in ambiguity. That is too uncomfortable. It's not fair. It doesn't serve anybody. So I'm going to help achieve resolution for them. They need to be led, and I'm going to protect them when they bring up objections about, no. Let me tell you about the other builder down the street that's $70,000 off right now, which Sarah, I know it's incredible how much some builders are discounting right now. Well, if it's $70,000, $100,000 off, I need to protect them from that. Because guess what? That's not the best thing that's going on. I apologize for anybody that's listening that they're giving those kind of discounts, but think about that, right? What are we even saying when we give a discount that big? So I need to protect them. So there's parts of the process that are very specific to each one, but that's the mindset mentality behind it. Then the entire process is a process. How do we do it? And I didn't tell you this. You don't know this. Maybe you know this. Maybe you don't know this. I think it was on LinkedIn, so you probably do. The book
the new book? Yes, the new book. Yes.
It was this week, last week we got the book in. So the book is here that gives you, all of the steps, the whole thing. We didn't keep anything in. There's no secrets. It's all there.
No, I see. And well, I love that. You know what I'm remembering now, as you just went through this, when I heard you and Jason talking, when I heard transparency, the reason why I went to warrior selling immediately is because I remember you guys talking about, if someone's not the right fit for you, like that's when I was thinking about I was thinking transparency for that example is I do that because that's something you learn I feel like as a seasoned salesperson, it's okay if someone's not it's okay not to sell to everybody. I know right now builders are like, no, we need to sell to anybody or somebody, right? Which I think in the grand scheme of things, you can't put the circle in a square peg, that type of circumstance. That's really what we're talking about here. We're not talking about, we want you to sell to those that make sense. But when it doesn't make sense, be transparent and honest. And people remember that when you serve them like that, they remember and they could come back to you. And I've had that happen in home building. I've had that in my technology sales. It is what you guys speak to. It's so genuine and so honest in every sales process. I mean, every sales process I've been a part of, and 25 years deep now, I feel like it's selling something in my lifetime. It always comes back tenfold, I believe.
Yeah, well, it does. And it can come back. And I mean, you're right. Sometimes it comes back because the next time they're ready, they're now a better fit and they're a sale for you down the road. Definitely had that. Sometimes it comes back to you immediately because right now, right when traffic's low, referrals are the most important thing. So if this isn't the right person, doesn't mean you can't ask them for referrals. We don't have to only get referrals from people who have said yes and are doing business with us. We can get referrals from people that are terrible fits for us, but they know somebody else that's a great fit. And so also, sometimes we wait and it comes back to us tenfold. Sometimes it comes back tenfold, 5 minutes later.
Well, you're right. And it could be, it's a referral, it's a family member, something falls through and then suddenly they're back. There's just so many scenarios you and I over our years that we could talk about because and it does come back. You just don't know when or how, but it's just that energy. I always think it's like good energy, servant energy, and it comes back. I mean, in some way, or someone's going to help you in a different way. I truly believe that. Um, so here's my last question for you today, because I mean, again, you and I could talk for hours, and I love it. Advice for new salespeople. I feel like you and I could probably spend a whole hour on talking about someone new coming in into our industry, into the building industry. This is they're coming in, they don't know anything. So what would your as a sales leader, sales trainer, what's kind of, I mean, I know you do hold sales trainings with newbies, but is there any like core for anyone listening that's kind of just, they're brand new to the industry and they're tuning in?
Yeah, starting with mindset, which I always go back to mindset first, is anybody that's starting right now. I mean, I hope that they are seeing it as this incredible gift because right now they're going to learn the best habits. They're going to learn how to be disciplined. They're going to learn how to handle the toughest objections. They're going to learn how to sell against competition that is crazy right now. And when they can do that, everything else is easy. So right now, this is a gift. The people that will start here, it's the same as like the people that went into new home sales in 2008. They are just unshakable. Like nothing can phase them or bring them down. Their numbers are consistent because they know how to sell in all environments. So we come into what I would call like a winter economy in sales. Like, so we're hitting the winter right now, as far as an industry, that is the best time to come in. The way I always think about it is when I went in ninth grade, I told you earlier that I lived in Maryland for a few years. And when I was in Maryland, I decided that I decided I wanted to try playing a sport. I never played a sport before, wanted to play a sport. So I started with lacrosse. The way I picked it is because it was a sport that they wore a skirt. So I felt like this was like a gateway sport into athletics. I will go and play lacrosse. And lacrosse was like the cool sport to play in Maryland. It's the sport. So I go to play lacrosse, and my coach told me, okay, Mary, I know that you want to go buy one of the fancy aluminum plastic lacrosse sticks. I'm not allowing you. You have to use one of these super old, really thick, heavy wooden lacrosse sticks. And I hated it. And I felt like it was not cool. And I felt like I was like ancient looking because everybody else had these like really lightweight, cool, they could like flip them around and do all this stuff. And I have this like basically like a tree branch that I'm carrying. But here's the thing, it was so tough to use that by the time we got to get, I went through the whole preseason and practice and went to camps and all this stuff. By the time we went to a game, she said, here's your aluminum stick. Oh my gosh. I was like, amazing. I could throw so much farther. I could run so much faster. I could do everything because I had been walking around with a tree branch that was heavy and cumbersome and hard. And it was like really thick at the end. So it was hard to scoop the ball up. But then when I was given the aluminum stick, I could do everything. I was amazing. That's the same thing right now, joining of coming into the industry. Now, here's the thing that's going to be really hard. Now now that we have the right mindset, we have to protect it. So be careful who you listen to. So if somebody sold through 2008 and they were successful and they say that was the best time, and the person that you're talking to is like, ooh, I love when the economy gets like this because I am the light in the darkness, right? I feel confident in what I'm doing and I have a process and here it is. And they're making their numbers and they're being thoughtful about it and they're being smart about it and they're excited about it. Listen, do what that person says to do. But if you're talking to somebody and I hate this. When is the market going to change? This is the worst. This isn't how it's supposed to be. The way I do it is blah, blah, blah. No. This is not a person to listen to, which is hard because the way I always think about it is if you want to be top 10%, then you have to ignore what 90% of people will tell you to do. You've got to only listen to the top 10%, which means the majority of the time, the 90 that say, no, 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 do it this way. This is the way all of us do it. Not the way to do it, which is going to make you unpopular. You got to be okay with that. So listen to the people that have been successful through it. Follow what they say to do. Don't listen to people that haven't done it and people that are complaining. They don't have the right strategy. They're going to have a lot of people that are going to agree with how they're selling, but none of them are being successful with it. So don't listen there. You got to know to stop those. And then with that is there are tremendous resources. So when something's coming up, one, go to your coach and ask, hey, I'm getting questions on interest rates all the time. I'm getting questions on payment, how to do payment math. I'm getting questions on, is this a good time to buy? There are resources out there. So go to your coach, like ask for help, demand coaching, get online. Thank you, Sarah, for saying, and for being there. I love when you comment, because you always let me know that you're there. And I love that. Come on, like we're sharing this for free all the time. Every single week we are on sharing for free. Come on, it's there because we love this industry. It's there because I love salespeople, and I don't want them carrying that weight on their shoulders. There's too many salespeople that are dealing with headache issues, neck problems, sleep issues, stomach issues, all of these things. And all of those physical symptoms are from stress, from carrying too much weight, the weight of your quota, the weight of what the decisions other people are going to make. The answers are there. So if you're feeling like it's not there, join us. Follow where Sarah is going and reading. Read books, listen to podcasts, being right here. Find the resources online. This is going to be on a YouTube channel. So if people are not listening on YouTube, you can go to YouTube, and there's going to be a ton, I'm sure, of podcasts there. I know that. I know you guys are also on Apple Podcasts, because that's how I listen to you. Or, I have a YouTube channel. Go to that. You can even start searching in there, like, I got ghosted. Okay, guess what? I've got a whole thing on how to go from being ghosted to unghosted. I don't know what questions to ask. Okay, great. We've got a whole thing on what questions do you ask when. Anything that you need, you can search it. The resources are there.
And think about back in 2008, 2009, when people did really well, they didn't have resources like this. Yeah. Digital marketing wasn't even a thing. I can speak to it because I went through it. There's Facebook, I'd like to say, but still for the college kids. Yeah. I was not in college, so I had to wait till, I want to say my son, he was a baby, he'll be 14. So he was just born when I think they let us regular people into Facebook. So that was 2000. Facebook was just becoming a normal thing. So all of the things Mary just said are all free resources for the most part. Those of us that went through the last cycle did not have. We had to wait for our ownership to serve us training all the time, which I feel like high fives to all ownership that invest in sales training, invest in FPG, because that was game changing for me as a salesperson when our ownership did that. But I would say there's free. So you as a salesperson, take it upon yourself to, if your ownership is not giving you awesome resources like Mary at FPG, and they haven't invested, go and get the free resources. I do it just for my own self. And I read and I soak it all in, because I'm still a salesperson, not selling homes now, but we all need it. And we all are students forever. I mean, it doesn't matter if I'm 25 years deep into selling, it doesn't stop. And I guess we have to keep reinventing ourselves, Mary, right? Because technology and tools and things like that just keep changing. And the way that we sell, even with technology, like I just think of all the things that you just listed that you're doing yourself. Like you have a YouTube, like that's amazing. YouTube wasn't even a thing back.
It wasn't a thing. What's funny is we're redoing, in 2023, we're going to relaunch some of Jason's books. And one of them is 40-Day Sales Dare, which is, it's one of my favorite books. It's literally do this, like for 40 days, it's a new thing to like, try this, do this, and to have your sales. But what's funny is one of the reasons we're redoing it. And some people are like, it's one of my favorite books. Why are you redoing it? And I said, well, because, we've got like a chapter on, here's the dare. There's this new technology called voicemail. I said,
that's what I'm talking about. You're like, yeah. It just sounds like, right? We just sound old.
Selling that to somebody, yes, we still need voicemail training, but it's like, there's this new thing called voicemail. It's on somebody's cell phone. It's not you, there's no tape recording it. I mean, it's just, so we got to make a few adjustments. So we've made the adjustments. It's in print right now. It'll be out in a few months, but it's interesting, right? You have to keep doing it. And that book was like super leading edge when it came out. And now that edge has moved because we've got to keep going. The edge keeps moving. Thank goodness, right? That's evolution. That's our getting to the next level of ourselves. So thank goodness that's happening.
Well, sales tech, I mean, technology just in general, even in the past 4 years, 5 years, it looks different. It looks different for home building. It looks different for every industry, to be honest, but home building specifically. I mean, that's what we do here at Anugo is all tech. It's what I was talking about 2 years ago. We've already advanced what we're doing. I mean, we always say we have a lab of what we're actually working on. So what people see that we've done, I'm like, that's just what we've been working on. Wait till you see what we really are working on, right? Like if you could only see what's in the lab, like it's so cool. That's why I love doing it, because it keeps me, I like to think it's keeping me younger if I'm on top of it, because it's what I do for a living. But you and I both know how many people that have been doing it, and they're like, I just am not good at tech. I'm not good. That's just not for me. And do you find, like, I feel like I'm like, how can do you own a smartphone? Like you're not good at tech. Like, what are you talking about? Like, do you still hear that? Because I still have sales leaders that tell me that their teams aren't good at tech. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I mean, I do hear it. I hear it less today than I used to. And I used to be one of those people. Like, I'm recovering from that. I remember Jason, put a sticky note on my computer and it said, I love technology and technology loves me. And then there was we used to run a little bit like a frat house. And so for a while it was good mindset rewiring, but he would say, okay, if Mary's going to speak in a meeting, before she speaks, she has to declare to everyone, I love technology and technology loves me. So I had to say it like at every meet before everything that I said forever, for months, until it ingrained in. So not the most high-tech way of rewiring, but there's a way to do it as well. That was the old school rewiring ways. But you're right. I mean, I think the thing is remembering what we can all do today. And you're right. Remember, wait, you're using a smartphone. Wait, you send emails. Wait. And if we go back and think about it, I remember as a kid sitting there, one of the times that I laughed the hardest was we were at my uncle's house, and it was me and my little brother and my mom and my uncle sitting in front of his computer. And he was like, okay, Sandy, that's my mom, Sandy, I'm going to teach you how to use a mouse. And he was teaching her how to click and drag. And so what would she do? She'd go click and then move the mouse. And he's like, no, you got to click and drag. And so we, remember there was all these like games that would teach you how to click and drag. Okay. We don't even teach that anymore. We don't even have a mouse. Like most of us have a pad and we're double clicking and 2 fingers.
Oh, my 2-year-olds know how to click and drag.
Right. We're doing all of that. So we remember that. We go, oh, so it's not that we're bad at technology. It's that something's new and it's our first day doing it. So if we just applied the same thought processes, let's take a few minutes to learn how to do it. Turns out it's really easy.
Well, you know what? You just have to slow down. And I do think, though, that's the issue, is we're all going so fast and so hard. But the neat thing about technology is that sometimes it could save you 10 times more time and 10 times more energy with the right products, right? I'm not going to say all products are equal, but if you put the right products in place, it actually will save you time, but you have to slow down enough to leverage it and use it and understand how it can help you, whether it's sales, marketing, and time management. I mean, there's so many different awesome tools out there for sales tech that you can do. And even like as simple as being able to listen to an Audible book on your cell phone. I mean, like that's technology, guys. Like if you still want to say you're bad at if you know how to listen to a book through your AirPods, like you're so close. You're on technology and you're using it. And if you can download an app, you're better than the presidents of the United States, the past two. I don't think they know how to download apps. So, right?
Good point. There you go.
Right?
Good point.
You're in good shape with me. So let me ask you this: I've kind of shared throughout this whole podcast where folks could find you, but where's the best place for someone to connect with you, Mary, and with FPG?
Yeah, so it's super, super easy. It's just fpg.com. And that has everything there, and you can get to the YouTube channels and places that way. But of course, we're on LinkedIn and YouTube and all the social media channels, Facebook. I think, we're even on TikTok. I personally am not, but we do. The company has a TikTok channel as well too. So we're trying to be cool and young as well. But FPG.com will send you anywhere that you want to go and, connect you to whatever you're looking for, whether it's the resources or there are services that you need. So both are there.
I know you have trainings and different things. You want to talk a little bit about that before we go?
Yeah, I'd love to. So so we have the training for sure, all the training pieces on leadership, executive side, as well as sales, of course. But the other things that we do, one is, we have a recruiting arm. So we recruit sales leadership and salespeople. We guarantee their success. We train them. When we recruit for you, we train them, and not just they go into a class setting, but we also do one-on-one with everybody that we're recruiting, so that we can guarantee that this person is going to sell and that they're going to be successful for you. So that's a huge part of our business, and what we're doing is finding top talent. We did that because we couldn't find. All of our clients would say, hey, who's a recruiter that you want to recommend to us? So we were interviewing all these recruiting agencies and talking to people all over the country about it, and showing them some of the things that we do and the assessments we use. And the answer that we kept getting from recruiting agencies was, oh, but that weeds out too many people. Yeah, that's the whole point. We want to only, I want you to only send people that are going to be really good. And they go, oh, but that weeds out too many of the people that we find. So we don't want to use your tools. And so from that frustration, we started our own recruiting arm. And in order to be able to serve our clients that way. And then the other thing that we offer as well is fractional sales coaching. So, I don't like being a no person. And, there were so many times that people would say, oh, Mary, how about, especially as builders were growing, right? They're small and the owner wants to now move away from coaching their teams. They're like, can you just be my sales coach? Or I'd be on an executive call and they, it's one of my trainers. They're like, can they just be my sales coach? Will you just let me hire them? And I said, no. And finally I said, why am I saying no? If you have less than 9 on your sales team, you don't really need a full-time sales manager. And so I said, wait, what if I said yes? Okay, yeah, we can do this on a fractional. So there's a lot of builders that we now are, that I am the sales manager for. Somebody on my team is, and I'm guiding them and working with them to be the sales manager. They get what they were asking for, which is, will you be my sales manager? And it's way less money than having somebody full time. And so that's growing a lot on that area. But that's really, for, of course, our smaller builders that just aren't ready or don't want to have that overhead, especially at a time like now that they say, I don't want the overhead of a sales manager. How do we support our team, but still keep the revenue and keep our cash in-house as much as possible. And so we're really proud that we have that to offer to our builders.
Those last two things, the recruiting, the two that you just, obviously training, I was promoting that, but the last two things you just touched on that you guys are providing are like two of the biggest pain points that our builders are, like finding the right people. Yeah. Goodness me. Yeah. Like it's just been grueling. Like and just the turnover, right? Every time we talk to her, like so-and-so left, this person left, we have new this, we have to, and for, we're a service provider. So we're helping train whoever's new or who's hired or who's been elevated. But man, thank goodness that, that is something, and you're training them. So you're not only recruiting, I would say you can call a recruiter, but then you have to invest in training. FPG has both. That's huge. That kills two major pain points. And then fractional. I didn't know that. So I'm so glad I did not know that. So now that I know that, I can give back to my builders that too. But that is huge, because so many of our builders, they need help.
Thank you. Well, and the fractional coaching, we've been building it for that program for about the last year. And honestly, Sarah, I think this is the first time I'm saying it publicly, because we've had it very hush because. And then every time I'd bring it, I do some of the leadership, the public classes, I have a lot of owners all on one class together that I'll teach. And one of them, I was the fractional manager for, and he brought it up in a class. And I mean, I thought they were going to riot. I had the whole place. They were like, you didn't tell us this existed. Wait. Hold on. Are you saying that you're the sales manager for that? Wait, hold on. We didn't know. And it completely, and I was like, we were trying, we were like slowing it, slow rolling it out to make sure that it worked. And so as soon as it started to get out, it got huge. And now we have all the systems. It's going so beautifully. So for your listeners, Sarah, you are the first one that's getting the public announcement that we do that.
I was going to say, I've always been known as having a big mouth. So there you go. And now that I know, everyone's going to know, because not only from the podcast, but because I like to share, because I do share resources with all of my, builders and my friends. I'm like, oh, you should call so-and-so. So call Mary. I love that we did this. I am so grateful to you, and our listeners have learned so much more about you and FPG, but also just your heart and your process. And I can't wait to talk to you more about all the things and what's coming next for you. And definitely, we're going to put the book in the show notes. Definitely follow Mary and Jason, Mary Marshall Forrest and Jason Forrest on LinkedIn, and you will see it'll come up in your feed if you follow them when they're live.
I love this. You know this even more. You know this even more than I do there. That was great. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. And we'll talk soon.
Perfect.